So in this tutorial we're going to have a look at how we can add tab navigation to the app. So it looks like that you can navigate between different screens. At the moment, what have we got from the last session? Well, we just got the custom theme applied with the button and the design looking the way we want it to look. So let's go ahead and add a tab navigator that comes with feathers onto the design of the front page of the app. So to do that, I need to first access my main ActionScript file, which currently contains the information about the button and how it appears on the stage. So for the time being, I'm going to comment out all the information to do with creating a button on the screen, as I don't need that to happen for the time being. And I'm going to comment out this event handler so that it doesn't get confused about where the button is. So at the moment I've got a custom class that's essentially loading a blank canvas of feathers, so nothing is now appearing on the screen. So let's go ahead and start adding the button tabs at the bottom of the screen. So to begin with, I need to first establish some variables that are going to hold the button structures. So I'm going to just start with one to begin with. So the first one I'm going to create is a learning screen. So I'm going to create a private static constant. There's only one of these, that's why we use a constant. Learn, and that's equal to, that's a string, and it's equal to the word learn. So down at the bottom, before I initialize the tab navigator, I need to first ensure that this particular class is not just only extending Starling's sprite class, as noted here, but also the feathers context as well. So we do what's called super this class, super the sprite, so that it can do more than just the sprite. And we have our event handler waiting for this class to be added to the stage before we actually do some stuff. So down at the bottom here we've got our things happening when the main class has been instantiated and added to the stage. And once it's added to the stage, we can start creating the navigator. So I'm going to create a protected variable navigator that's associated with this class. I'm going to create it as a tab navigator. And you'll notice under feathers, controls is where the tab navigator lies. Now when I double click this, it automatically adds the import statement at the top over here. So this didn't exist before. Sometimes you may want to couple it up back to where all the others were located. So for example up here, I'm going to cut and paste it next to these other controls that I was using earlier on. Now let's go back down to establishing the structure of this navigator. So when the class has been added to the stage, let's assign the navigator of this class to be equal to a new tab navigator. So once the navigator has been established on this class, we can start to create one of the tabs. So let's add the learning tab, as this is an mLearning project. I'm creating a custom function which I'm going to call lower down here. So I'm going to create this custom function down here, private function add learn tab. It doesn't return any data, it's just going to carry out a set of instructions. So now I'm going to introduce some more variables here, which essentially will create the screen that's to do with the learning information about this app. So var screen is a new learn screen. Now I haven't made this class yet. This is going to be another custom class which I'll create shortly. So create a new learn screen. Now this next variable is going to create a Tab Navigator item, which is a new Tab Navigator item, which is going to use the screen as the content to display, and the text to learn is going to appear as the label for the actual tab itself. So finally we can say to the navigator that's associated with this main class to add a screen learn and then the item. So the item is going to be what is added to the screen and what the variable we establish at the top here is associated to. When referring to the word capital learn, it's referring to a lowercase learn. We have now created a link to a new screen called the learn screen, but we haven't actually made our learn screen, so let's go ahead and actually create this new screen. So I'm going to create a new ActionScript3 class, which is going to be called learn screen. Notice the capital L and a capital S for class naming. So now as part of this learn screen, it's going to be saved tab creation folder com Dawud m learning. I'm actually going to create a new folder here called screens, and inside screens is going to be learnscreen.as. So I'm going to match this package up, and you can see that it's picked up the folder structure, so I can just press enter and it will fill in the gaps for me. The next stage is to import a class that is going to extend. So in this particular case, it's going to extend a panel screen that comes with feathers. If I put extends panel screen, okay, I need to now import that class feathers.controls.panel screen. So a panel screen enables us to not only add content to the screen but also have scrolling content in the particular screen's structure. So with the panel screen created in the constructor, let's super this class so that we take everything that this panel screen can do plus more, and add our event listener for a enter frame, added to stage, sorry. So that when it's added to the stage, we know that we can start doing things with the class. So let's import starling.events.event, making sure that we choose Starling's event class, not Flash's event class. Now let's actually create the content of this scrolling screen. So to begin with, what we can do is override the existing protected function that exists in panel screen called initialize with a Z. So essentially there's already a function inside panel screen called initialize. What we're doing is we're taking the content of that function of the panel screen structure, and we're going to override what the initialize function intention is. So rather than wipe everything that the initialize does, let's activate everything that the initialize function does and set the title of this screen to be equal to learn about feathers. So for the time being, let's leave it, this content of the screen as that before we add any further information. So I'm going to save this class. I'm going to save main.as, which is making an instance of this learn screen class. If I press Control Enter, okay, I've got a couple of errors. I just need to import a few other classes that I haven't imported as a result of not having made them to begin with. So now that I've made my screen class, I can import that, and that should now work. I also need to add a Tab Navigator, feathers.controls.tab Navigator item. So if I Control Enter that now, one error, missing changing that to a comma. Control Enter. Save. Okay, so I need to just create the added to stage event handler because it's trying to find it, but it doesn't actually exist. It's a protected function added to stage handler, takes on an event type, but it's not going to do anything for the time being, and this is in the learn screen class. So let's Control Enter now, and we should get one tab appear at the bottom. Okay, maybe I forgot to add the tab to the stage. So scrolling down, we can have a look, and I can see that although I've assigned the navigator variable to be a new tab navigator, I actually need to add it to the stage. So this.addChild, this.navigator. Save that, Control Enter. And there we have it. We've got one tab at the bottom. We've got our theme kicking in with the blue stripes, and we've got Learn About Feathers title appearing. So what we could do is save this out as another file. So I'm going to save as, I'm going to call it inside the screens folder home screen instead. So essentially I'm just going to add two different screens, so that now that I've saved this as home screen, I need to now change this to home, capital H, this one to home, save that, and I'm going to say for the title of this screen, welcome to Learning App. So if I save that out, essentially I'm going to just duplicate the code. So I'm going to make a copy of the variable first down here. So I'm going to select this line. I press Control D or Command D on a Mac, and it makes a duplicate of this line. The capital word home refers to the lowercase word home. I'm going to create a new function called add home tab, save that, and then I'm going to take a copy of this function, Control D, just tab that in so that it's all aligned correctly, change that to home, change this to home, so anywhere I see the word learn, I'm changing it to home, so that I now have two screens. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this first so that it adds the home tab first and then it adds the learn tab after. So Control Enter. I need to import the class home screen at the top. So import con.zyDownload learning screen, the home screen. So now we have two screens. Welcome to the mLearning app. If I switch over to Learn, it says Learn About Feathers. So there we have the ability to add a limited number of tabs at the bottom, and feathers automatically handles the spacing between what the tab looks like and what the tab is going to spread across the bottom when there are different versions, a different number of tabs. So, stage is to add some scrolling text. So let's have a look and see how we can do that. So on our home screen, I'm going to create a new type of variable that comes with feathers to enable us to visually lay out the way our screen content is going to look. So to begin with, inside our initialize function, I'm going to assign the layout of this class to be equal to a new anchor layout. Now the anchor layout is part of the feathers layout class, so I'm going to import feathers.layout.anchor layout. So with this anchor layout, it effectively enables us to position elements so that when it comes to responsive design, the anchors shift in response to the orientation or the size of the device itself. So this is something quite useful for feathers because it contains a good mechanism for laying out your objects without too much messing about with having to reposition objects. So let's create a new scroll text content. So to begin with, I need to create a new variable just above this class. Private var underscore scroll text is new scroll text. So again, the scroll text class exists as part of one of the controls. Import feathers.controls.scroll text. Next, we are going to add the scroll text to the screen. So this dot underscore scroll text dot text is equal to, so let's go and copy paste some lorem ipsum text. Lorem ipsum so that should be plenty of lorem ipsum just down here. So header as part of the header where the title is, this is where we're going to add the scroll text to sort of anchor from this position. So this dot underscore scroll text dot layout data is equal to a new anchor layout data, which requires you to put the positioning, the X and Y. So let's put that at 0, 0, 0, and 0. Let's see where that positions things to begin with. Let's then add it to the stage. Add child underscore scroll text. So this now adds this text field to the stage. Control Enter. So now we need to add the layout data class. So that's import feathers.layout anchor layout data. So obviously we created the variable at the top, initialized it, but we didn't actually create it when the class was being added to the stage, or when the initialize function was being activated. So we actually need to create this variable equals new scroll text. So this should now be available to create a scrolling text field on the stage. It might take a couple of seconds for it to load, but generally it loads fairly swiftly after it has understood. So we can see here we haven't got much text in here. We can see that the anchor layout data at 0000, it's already established a pretty decent positioning. I can't pull this up and down because it doesn't actually exceed the length of screen that is available here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of this lorem ipsum text and just paste it a few more times, well, more than a few more times. Let's take another copy of this sentence and paste it many more times right after one another, enough to actually fill up the screen. Yeah, that's plenty. Control Enter. Let's have a look and see how this looks like. So we can now clearly see there's enough lorem ipsum text fitting the screen, but also you can see it's got to the end of the footer, and we can scroll and you can see there's plenty of text in there with the scrolling bar being made available to scroll throughout the text. Let's just reduce some of that text. Seems like there's a bit too much. And if that's plenty. There we have it. And we see you can get that bouncing effect that happens on most mobile devices already built into Feathers to enable us to scroll up and down the starting and the ending points of this text.